A person works on a spreadsheet on a laptop. Figure 9. When a spreadsheet is a useful tool for working with large sets of numerical data. Credit, modification of notebook, typing coffee by Pexels/Pixabay CC0. Chapter outline. 9. 1 Microsoft Excel Basics. 9.2 Text and numbers in Microsoft Excel. 9.3 Calculations and basic formulas in Microsoft Excel. 9.4 Formatting and templates in Microsoft Excel. 9.5 Google Sheets Basics. 9.6 Text and numbers in Google Sheets. 9.7 Calculations and basic formulas in Google Sheets. 9.8 Formatting and templates in Google Sheets. WorldCorp's Portland, Maine, location receives many finished products at their warehouse. Some of the products they sell include LCD TVs, home stereo systems, computer accessories, and tablets. They add these items to the inventory and then ship them to different destinations. Their orders include a wide variety of products, each with a different price, for many clients and with multiple sales agents. Because WorldCorp's business model includes multiple locations and various business units, they have a large volume of data, so collaboration and sharing of information is necessary for the company to be successful. This is especially true when communicating sales information company-wide. The information needs to be organized and effectively communicated to various entities within the corporation. It will also need to be put into sales reports that follow corporate standards for reporting and be accessible by the appropriate entities for editing. By using spreadsheets, sales agents and upper management at WorldCorp can access the information they need to make informed decisions about inventory levels and distribution channels. A spreadsheet is a powerful tool to organize, present, and analyze critical information that allows WorldCorp to effectively manage their diverse business. For example, WorldCorp can use a spreadsheet program such as Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets to summarize quarterly sales information for the sales agents in a particular region. A more in-depth review by upper management could be centered on analyzing the performance of sales agents or regions to set targets for the next year. Spreadsheets can be used to track inventory levels that then can be evaluated by product type or price. Generated reports can be used by the accounting department when billing customers and reconciling accounts. Finally, the programs can even be used to make sales projections or to examine the impact of price changes on profits. Learning objectives. By the end of this section, you will be able to identify common uses for Excel spreadsheets, use basic features of Excel, describe the essential functions of each tab on the ribbon, differentiate between worksheets and workbooks, create worksheets and navigate existing files, print a workbook and a worksheet. WorldCorp sells many consumer electronics, including tablets, HD antennas, headphones, and TVs. The Portland location is in a port city, so it can dispatch orders anywhere in the world, but most of its orders go to the northern United States and Canada. As you receive more and more orders from clients, you need a spreadsheet or database to keep all data flowing so that the warehouse knows where the shipment will be sent, what products are in the order, and how much the total shipment costs. This data, in turn, can be added to the financial statements in the accounting system, which will help the senior managers analyze the sales results of the company. Microsoft Excel is a powerful tool that can be used for creating sales order tables. Common uses of spreadsheets. Excel is a spreadsheet software application type that has rows and columns in a grid pattern. A cell is the intersection of a row and a column, and it looks like a rectangle. You can enter data into the cells to design tables and graphs and perform data analysis. A workbook is a file that contains at least one worksheet, which is a tab within a workbook where you can input data and design tables and graphs that use the data, figure 9. 2. The terms worksheet and spreadsheet are interchangeable, but Excel uses the worksheet terminology. A workbook may contain several worksheets, similar to taking a hard copy of a set of data and adding it to another hard copy in a file folder. One benefit of using a workbook is that the worksheets within it can communicate with each other. Having multiple worksheets in one workbook gives you flexibility in organizing and analyzing your data. Data analysis grows in complexity as a business grows. Even a simple accounting system for a small business designed in Excel will require many sheets, and each worksheet can feed or receive data from other worksheets. One workbook can contain all of these worksheets together as in a manila file folder. A blank spreadsheet in Excel Figure 9. 2. An Excel workbook contains individual worksheets made up of cells. Used with permission from Microsoft. The cells are named based on their location. For example, the upper left cell is in column A and row 1, so Excel designates its address relative to the other cells in the worksheet or its cell reference as A1. You can use these cell references to perform operations that use either formulas or functions. A formula is a mathematical operation that may use constants or cell references, or a combination of constants and cell references. All formulas must begin with equals. For example, you can calculate 4 plus 4 by typing equals 4 plus 4 in a cell, or you can add the contents of cell A1 and 4 by typing equals A1 plus 4 or typing equals, and then clicking on cell A1 and then completing the formula. A function is a mathematical or analytical operation that uses words instead of mathematical operators. All functions must also begin with equals in Excel. For example, to calculate 4 plus 4, you can type equals sum 4 4. Excel can do the calculations for you just as you would using a calculator. Excel's formulas and functions can take the place of a calculator. One use for spreadsheets is to create a monthly food budget. You can keep track of how much you spend on groceries by category and on eating out at restaurants. You could list it by the type of product, i.e., milk, and by restaurant. Over time, you can use these numbers to determine your average cost for groceries and for eating out, and you will then be able to predict what you will spend on groceries. This tracking can serve as a control on your budget and will help you save money in the long run. You can use a similar process for all your personal finance and family expenses to enable you to create a budget that works for your situation by tracking expenses. In business, the same principles apply. If you can track business sales, you will be able to allocate the money more effectively. In other words, by having a better accounting system and dispatching of orders, a manager will be able to see where money is being generated. If the manager realizes that a certain product is generating a higher profit, then the manager can allocate resources to increase the sales of that product. For example, the company could increase the unit production and hire more sales agents to sell that product, which in turn will increase distribution venues, such as corporate retail clients that sell the products in their stores. Not only that, the company may also increase the marketing and advertisement expenses of these products to gain new clients. All of these actions stemmed from the tracking of sales and analyzing what products sell the most units. In all these layers of actions, there will be many worksheets tracking data, such as an order dispatching spreadsheet or the unit cost manufacturing sheets. Link to learning. Mallory is an Australian website that offers career advice and tips to recent college grads or high school students about to enter the job market. Read the article that discusses different ways businesses use Excel to learn more. Basic features. The most salient Excel feature is the arrangement of cells in columns and rows. The appearance of Excel is similar to graph paper. You can easily customize the width or height to fit words or numbers in the cells. To navigate through the cells in the spreadsheet, you can click on the cell and then use the Enter or Return key to move down to the next row, use the Tab key to move to the next column, or use the arrows on your keyboard to move around the worksheet. Spreadsheets are designed for data analysis. Each cell has its own integrated calculators that automatically compute the result when you type in a formula or function. Another major benefit to Excel is that you can quickly and easily copy an equation into other cells so that you do not have to retype it. Excel has many other features that can save you time over using a calculator. To demonstrate how efficient Excel can be in organizing and analyzing data, let's look at an order dispatching spreadsheet figure 9.3. Each row represents one order, and each column represents a different characteristic of the order, identified by the labels in the top row, called the headers, with the data separated into different cells. An Excel spreadsheet with multiple columns and rows of data. The first row has a blue background and bold font. Figure 9. 3 separating data by columns makes it easier to analyze and perform calculations with the data. Used with permission from Microsoft. Separating the data by columns serves multiple purposes. First, it allows a user to organize the information by any one or more of the columns. For example, you could organize the data by date, as shown in Figure 9.3, or by destination. You can also keep different types of data, such as item description column D and price per unit column G, separated. That way, if the price per unit changed, it could be updated quickly and easily. Further, if they were combined in a single column, you would be unable to use formulas to do calculations, because Excel cannot perform calculations when there are both letters and numbers in a cell. Excel recognizes numerals for calculations, but cannot perform calculations with words or letters, just as a calculator cannot calculate letters. Another benefit of separating data into categories by column is that each column can later become a graph and help the user visually analyze the information. The data in column E and column G in Figure 9.3 are not linked to other columns. In other words, they do not contain formulas or functions but are raw quantities entered into the spreadsheet. Column H, however, is a quantity based on the data in columns E and G. The fob dollar is the number of products, column E multiplied by the price per unit, column G. The formula is displayed at the top of the Excel worksheet in the formula bar, which is next to the FX symbol. You can see in the formula bar in Figure 9.4 that the formula is equals E2 asterisk G2, yet the cell displays the result of the multiplication. The A is the mathematical symbol Excel uses for multiplication. This simple multiplication formula shows how Excel calculates numbers. An Excel spreadsheet shows cell H2 selected. The cell says $26,016. And the formula bar shows equals E2 asterisk G2. Figure 9.4 clicking on a cell reveals the formula above the headers in the formula bar, while the result of the calculation shows in the cell. Used with permission from Microsoft. In order to apply this calculation to the rest of the data, you can repeat the formula in other cells in the same column. In Figure 9.5a, all data has been removed from column H except for the first cell, which contains our formula equals E2 asterisk G2. The easiest way to repeat the formula is to use autofill. Place the cursor on the lower right corner of the cell until the cursor changes to a black cross. Then, click and drag the cross to the end of your column of data, which copies the formula into each cell. Figure 9.5b shows the result of dragging the formula from H2 to H18. Autofill is also a useful feature for repeating text. The text could be a static value, such as when you enter multiple orders that contain the same item, or a time value, such as months of the year or days of the week. You can simply type in January and then use autofill to drag across or down to fill in the rest of the months. This method works for dates, days of the week, other text such as quarter 1 and quarter 2, and nearly any pattern of numbers, i.e., odd numbers or counting by 5. When using autofill for a pattern of numbers or text you want to repeat, you need to select enough of the pattern so that Excel can recognize the repetition. For example, if you want to generate a list of numbers counting up by 5, you will need to select at least the cells that contain 5 and 10 so that Excel understands you want to increase the value in each row in the autofill by 5. In part A, cell H2 is selected. The formula bar is enlarged and says equals E2 asterisk G2. In part C, multiple cells in column H are selected and filled in with different numbers. Figure 9.5 The autofill feature is useful to get the results without retyping or copying and pasting the formula. Column H is empty, except for the first cell which contains the formula, as seen in the formula bar. Clicking and dragging the formula to the end of the column automatically applies the same formula to subsequent rows. By dragging the formula down the column using the autofill feature, small black cross sign in the lower right corner of a cell, the values are calculated for each row. Used with permission from Microsoft. Back tip. On a Mac, you can simply double-click on the cross, and the formula will copy down the column to the last row that contains data. The ribbon. As you recall from Essentials of Software Applications for Business, Excel's interface includes a ribbon of commands, grouped into categories that are similar across Microsoft Office programs. The Home tab for Excel, Figure 9.6a, has commands such as conditional formatting and inserting deleting columns or cells. The Insert tab, Figure 9.6b, includes inserting a chart or equation, which is not included on the Insert tab of other programs such as Microsoft Word. The formulas, Figure 9. 6C and Data, Figure 9. 6D tabs are specific to Excel. These tabs include commands for analyzing data in various ways. A. Excel Home tab selected. B. Excel Insert tab selected. C. Excel Formulas tab selected. D. Excel Data tab selected. Figure 9. 6. The Excel interface uses a ribbon to organize commands into tabs, which include A. The Home tab and B. The Insert tab, which are similar to other Office programs. The Excel ribbon also includes tabs specific to Excel, including C. The Formulas tab and D. The Data tab. Used with permission from Microsoft. Creating worksheets and navigating existing files. Now that you understand how to navigate a worksheet, let's see how to apply this skill. Suppose you need to build sales figures of different retail store locations. Each location will have its own worksheet, and then you'll add one more sheet to total the sales figures and make a comparison using a table. Figure 9. 7. It gives the data for location X. You will need to use the copy and paste method to use this table to make the table for location Y in the copy and paste method. Copy text or objects by typing Ctrl+C, or right-click to copy or use the clipboard command group on the Home tab, and then typing Ctrl+V to paste the text or object in the new area. To use this procedure in this workbook, follow these steps. Highlight the table as shown in Figure 9. 7A. Press Ctrl+C to copy the table. Create a new sheet by clicking on the circled plus sign at the bottom of the worksheet. Click on cell A1. Press Ctrl+V to paste the table into your new sheet. This process copies the table exactly, so you will need to change the data so that it reflects the sales figures of location Y using the sales figures received from the finance department. Mac Macs use a command key, whereas PCs use a control key. These keyboard shortcuts on a Mac are Command+C to copy and Command+V to paste. Mac also uses Control+Click to bring up the right-click menu Windows uses. Data that you provide or that is provided to you is often raw data, and designing a worksheet or even a workbook helps to organize it. Replace the data from location X with the data from location Y and change the location, as shown in Figure 9. 7B. Using the copy and paste procedure saves time when dealing with the same or similar scenarios because it eliminates the need to create a new table from scratch. Note, however, that this process works with cells that contain numbers and not formulas. Copying and pasting tables with formulas requires additional work after the initial copy and paste to retain the correct formulas and cell references. A table with 4 columns and 5 rows labeled location X is highlighted. B. Same table copied, but now labeled location Y displays different information in column D from table in A. Figure 9. 7. The copy and paste process makes it easy to create multiple tables that are similar to each other. Start with a formatted data table for location X. A. Highlight, select the table and copy it. Notice the dotted line around the selection to show that it has been copied. B. Paste the table in a new worksheet and update it with the data for location Y, used with permission from Microsoft. Now replicate the steps for location Z. Copy and paste the table and then retype the real data. Next, focus on creating the final sheet that displays the totals. In the workbook, this would be Sheet 4. Because the summary table needs to be a similar structure to the other tables, you can copy and paste the same table here, but you will need to modify column D so that it adds up the units sold in each location. However, the summary table will need to use the data from Sheets 1, 2, and 3. To calculate the totals, you need an addition formula. Follow the same process used previously to insert a formula. First, in cell D2, type equals, which tells Excel that a formula or a function is being entered. Next, click on the tab for Sheet 1 and then on cell D2 in that sheet, Figure 9, 8A. Then type the operator, in this case plus, and then repeat the process for the appropriate cells in Sheets 2 and 3. When finished, press Enter and Excel will display the total in the cell. Notice in the syntax that Excel has inserted Sheet 1 before the cell designation in the first part of the formula. This tells Excel that it needs to use the contents of cell D2 in Sheet 1 for that portion of the calculation. The next element is Sheet 2, D2, which is cell D2 in Sheet 2. A simple table titled Location X cell D2 selected 8752, Formula bar displays equals sheet 1, D2. B. Same table displayed with column D, units sold updated and location updated to all 3 locations. Figure 9. 8. Excel allows formulas to reference data appearing on any worksheet in the workbook. To create a total of the number of units sold at each location, begin the equation with an equals sign. Then, click on the relevant cell in the first worksheet. Insert the mathematical operator and click on another cell you want in the formula. The formula shows the references to other worksheets. Autofill can complete the table with formulas that reference the relevant cells. B. The completed table uses data from other worksheets, used with permission from Microsoft. Now that the formula is in place for cell D2, use the autofill feature to apply the formula to subsequent rows. Highlight cell D2, click on the cross, and drag it to the bottom of the table. If you then click on cell D3, for example, you will see that the formula has been repeated but references cells D3 in the other sheets. Figure 9. 8b shows the completed table. This summary table can be very useful. In addition to providing a straightforward list of the totals, you could create graphs using this data and have a visual representation of sales trends. This is a simple scenario assumption. In the real-world sales totals, you would have much more than just 5 TV models. Imagine adding all the unit and dollar sale figures of 3 Best Buy locations in a given city. There would be hundreds of different products. You will learn increased complexity that will help in analyzing real-world problems such as this as your knowledge of Excel grows. The sorting and filtering feature is covered in data tables and ranges, where you will learn how to set up a condition and a criterion to hide or show values for analysis. Printing worksheets. Excel offers 2 options for printing, either printing each worksheet separately or printing the whole workbook. To do either, first go to the File tab and then click on Print, Figure 9.9. The default is to print only the currently opened worksheet, so we'll do that first. Choose the number of copies you want for this page, then choose the correct printer. There are other options for printing, include changing the size of the paper, changing vertical or horizontal orientation of the paper, adjusting the margins, and regulating the scaling, i.e., zooming in or not while printing. Once you have chosen your settings, click on the print icon and sheet 1 will come out of the printer. Different printers might have different options for you to choose from. Print is selected and opens to options for print, copies, printer, and settings that include print entire workbook, pages, collated, portrait orientation, letter, normal margins, no scaling, and page setup. Figure 9. 9. The options for printing are on the File tab. Click on Print. To print only a worksheet, leave the default selection of Print Active Sheets and make any necessary changes to the options. To print the whole workbook, select Print Entire Workbook from the first menu in the settings. On a Mac, the steps are the same, but the appearance will differ slightly. Used with permission from Microsoft. It is important to note that, when constructing spreadsheets, what you see on the computer screen is rarely how it looks when you actually print the workbook. When you have large spreadsheets with multiple rows or columns, they may not always fit within the bounds of the printed page. When you print the document, the result could be columns of data split oddly across several pages. Be sure to preview the printed version prior to printing. When you select Print, you will see the print preview on the right of the screen. Double-check that the columns and rows are displayed in the way you would like them to print. If not, you can change the margins of the worksheet or insert a page break as appropriate to print a final, professional workbook. More will be covered about formatting the worksheets and workbook in Formatting and Templates in Excel. Mag tip: you can get to the Print menu with Command+P, but you can also use the File tab at the top of the window. There is a separate menu in the File menu to set your print area, and you can select which worksheets to print from the Print menu. If you want to print all the sheets in the workbook, select Print Entire Workbook from the drop-down menu under Settings, Figure 9.9. Then, click on the print icon, and this time all the worksheets will be printed, including any blank worksheets that are in the workbook, instead of individual worksheets. Real-world application. Using Excel for personal finance. Excel is a powerful tool for business. However, it can also be a very useful tool for managing personal finances. You can set up Excel to manage all your personal finances, link bank accounts and other financial documents, help with managing documentation for income taxes, and perform many other personal finance tasks. Excel has all the features needed to set up a budget and manage personal and projected income, track expenditures, and analyze investments and other personal revenue trends. You will want to organize your financial information into separate functional worksheets within your budget workbook to ensure you keep your finances organized from the start. For instance, consider keeping separate worksheets to record income, expenditures, savings, and investments. You can start small as you grow in your comfort level in using Excel to record your financial transactions. For instance, you might want to start with a weekly or monthly expenditure sheet to track what you spend your money on, then move into savings and tracking interest accrued. This disciplined approach will ensure data is recorded in a timely manner, reducing the potential for missed information and errors, ultimately helping you maximize your dollars. What's more, there are a number of free templates available online and through Microsoft to help set up your budget workbook with little effort. What software or other tools do you use now to help you track your budget? Do a Google or template search in Excel and identify a budget template you might adopt. Once you find one you like, set up your monthly budget. Learning objectives. By the end of this section, you will be able to explain the basics of data and data analysis. Enter and format numeric data in a worksheet cell. Use the text in general formats for cell data. Use the commands in the page layout and review tabs. WorldCorp receives many orders every day, and they rely on databases for recording all data. Large corporations like WorldCorp also keep an inventory of direct materials for manufacturing. These materials, such as bolts and screws, come from many suppliers on multiple orders. They need to store all this inventory information in the accounting system. Finished products, the products that the company packages for shipping and sells, are built with various components and parts, and they record a list of all this information for every item that is manufactured. When a client places an order from a sales agent, these transactions are recorded in a Customer Relationship Management (CRM) database. Although many large corporations use Oracle or SAP databases, many other software companies furnish solutions to big, medium, and small organizations. Medium-sized companies may use Microsoft Access and/or Microsoft Dynamics for their database purposes and for the financial accounting. Organizations of all sizes can utilize Microsoft Excel. Here, you will learn some of the basic sales order database capabilities in Excel. For WorldCorp, Excel is an appropriate tool to gather, organize, and analyze information within the smaller business units such as by region or product line. The company-wide information might be stored in another type of program suited for large corporations, but at the business unit level, Excel can be a powerful tool to feed into the corporate information database. Data fundamentals. For the purpose of spreadsheet programs, data can be textual, such as a product description, or numerical, such as a price per unit, and it represents what an organization has determined is valuable. If you decide to compare the prices of oranges at different grocery stores, then you are researching and creating data. You can write your data on paper, but a more efficient and common method today for capturing and storing data is with computers. Data is collected primarily to use later in data analysis, a scientific discipline that uses mathematical and statistical tools to measure trends. For example, a company could track the sales trends of 3 locations over the span of a few months. Watching the data could reveal slumps in sales, which could trigger the company to introduce a corrective action. There are different kinds of data that businesses like to collect from their clients. Demographic data can segment a growing list of clients so that a company can give them better service based on their likes or dislikes. Financial and accounting data can keep track of a business's sales, unit costs, overhead costs, and so on. In addition to client data, machines are constantly generating data related to their performance. All manufacturing plants have machines that output data to computers for engineers and managers to analyze. Excel can manage many types of datasets but works better when the dataset is relatively small. Access databases are appropriate for large sets of data or data that will continue to grow. There are other industrial-sized data storage and analysis solutions like SAP and Oracle, as well as others that might work better for larger data files. Programs such as Sage and QuickBooks that are specific to accounting and finance provide additional features for financial analysis that are not offered in Excel. Entering and formatting numeric data in a worksheet cell. The information made of numerals that Excel reads like a calculator to perform mathematical equations is called numeric data. There are many purposes of numerical values in spreadsheets. The numbers can represent quantities, currency, dates, timestamps, percentages, and more. Table 9.1 summarizes the numerical values Excel uses. Type of numerical value description. Number data has 2 decimal places by default, but you can add or remove them depending on what your needs are. It accepts negative numbers as well. You can add a thousands separator. Currency data has 2 decimal places by default. It accepts negative numbers and will display them within parentheses or with a negative sign in red or black font. The thousands separator is turned on by default. A 0 is displayed with 2 decimal places. Excel adds the appropriate currency symbol preceding the number, and the numbers are aligned to the right with no spaces to the edges. Accounting data has 2 decimal places by default. It accepts negative numbers and will display in parentheses only. The thousands separator is given. The zeros are displayed as a. Excel adds a currency symbol aligned to the left. The difference between currency and accounting is that with the accounting format, all currency symbols are aligned. Date data is displayed in the American format by default, i.e., month, day, year. There are options to change the location or to change the format to one of many different choices, such as day, month, year, or year, month, day. Time data uses the 24-hour clock or AM/PM format by default. Percentage data analyzes the portion of a whole, and the data is displayed as a percentage with the percent symbol and no decimal points by default. Fraction data analyzes the portion of a whole and displays the values as in the percentages. You can convert a fraction to a percentage before entering data. Scientific data can be shortened numbers written in exponential form. To shorten a number, display the first digit, add a decimal point, and then list the next 2 digits. Then add E and the number of zeros the whole number contains. For example, 644,362,623 would be 644E plus 9. These truncated forms of numbers are commonly used in all sorts of sciences. Table 9.1 Numerical values in Excel. Tip. Percentages are shown with 2 decimal points by default. You can choose the type of numerical value appropriate for your data on the Home tab. Figure 9.10 shows the drop-down menu in the number command group where you can choose the type of numerical data you have. You can also access more details about the number type by selecting the arrow in the lower right corner of the number command group. This will open up the Format Cells dialog box that allows you to specify many more types of number formatting, including the number of decimal places. If you're starting from a blank worksheet, you can plan in your mind what kind of values your tables will contain, so that you can design them to be informative and display logical information. You can even do this per write of the table on a piece of paper, or as you go through the process of designing the document in Excel. A Format Cells pane opens to the Number tab selected. Options for category number is selected. Sample, decimal places, negative numbers, -1234. 10 is selected are visible with drop-downs for selection. Figure 9.10 You can format numbers on the Home tab. The number command group contains several buttons for commonly used formats and a drop-down menu. The drop-down menu contains an expanded list of common number formats. More options are available in the Format Cells dialog box, used with permission from Microsoft. The Format Cells dialog box allows you to choose the category and formatting for your cell, based on the data. For example, you can determine the number of decimal places you want to show with your accounting data. You can also use the custom formatting category. There are numerous complicated formatting options in the custom category, such as combining a date with a time, but you can also design your own by modifying an existing one to meet your needs. Say a sales report table contains a set of orders and the name of the salesperson who fulfilled them. This worksheet contains a variety of types of data: dates, text, general, number, accounting, and more. In order to determine the type of data, click on the cell and check the drop-down menu in the number command group. Figure 9. 11 shows that cell A2 is a date. You can convert any number to currency by selecting a cell and then clicking on the button on the Home tab. Cell A2 is selected and includes 3/22/2021. A zoomed-in view of the ribbon shows that date is selected in the Number tab. Figure 9.11 When a worksheet has multiple types of data, make sure to format it as the most appropriate type. Column A is formatted as a date. Used with permission from Microsoft. Figure 9.12a shows a summary of the sales figures of all agents. You will notice that the first row is shaded blue and the text is bolded. This is an effective way to differentiate the headings for each column, often referred to as the column header, title row, or header row. More about formatting cells will be covered in Formatting and Templates in Excel. For now, to make the header row stand out, you can select the row and use the commands in the Font command group on the Home tab to change the formatting, such as bolding, shading fill, or text color. Figure 9.12a includes a column for each agent's percentage of the FOB total, but by default, Excel formats cell contents as general, so it displays the calculation as a decimal number. You can format it as a percentage by selecting the cell and changing the number format in the drop-down menu, or by clicking on the button in the Number command group. We can use the same process to display the next cell as a fraction. Figure 9.12b shows the finished table. A percentage and fraction columns in a spreadsheet display with decimals 0.2197. B percentage column in a spreadsheet display with percent sign 21.97% and fraction column displays fractions 2.9. Figure 9.12 by default, Excel formats cells as general, so formatting may require adjustment for numbers to display properly. The unformatted table shows percentages and fractions as decimals. You can choose the percentage format for the cells in the percentage column. You can choose the fraction format for the cells in the fraction column. B. The formatted table displays the percentages and fractions correctly. Used with permission from Microsoft. Using the text in general cell formats. When your worksheet uses text data, which is information made up of words, letters, numerals, or a combination of those things, you can use the general or the text cell format. For example, say you have salesperson's names in text format and item descriptions in the general format. In a blank worksheet, you can enter your data using the default general format, and Excel will automatically format it according to the type of data you're entering. For example, if you type a date in a cell formatted as general, Excel will identify it as a date and reformat it accordingly. If Excel detects a number or text, it will remain in the general format. General formatting is flexible and can accommodate numbers or text. Because Excel may automatically change the format of your cell contents if you leave the format as general, consider formatting all numbers as number or accounting, as appropriate. If you format your words or letters as text, then Excel will not try to auto-format them. Figure 9.13 compares the same data formatted as text and formatted as number. The text format is flexible in that it can store numbers, letters, symbols, and words. Spreadsheet displays text and number columns filled with various numbers in both. Last cell in text column displays equals 4*5 and last cell in number column displays 20. Figure 9.13 numbers can be stored as text data to retain symbols or leading zeros, which are regularly used in some government reports, identification numbers, and some phone numbers. Used with permission from Microsoft. You are not restricted to the auto-formatting that occurs when you type your data into a cell with general formatting. If you enter a number using the general format, Figure 9.14a, but you want the number to display as currency, for example, simply select the cell or column and then choose currency from the Number command group's drop-down menu, Figure 9.14b. Excel will automatically add the currency symbol and 2 decimal places. All cells in a new workbook are by default set to general format, but you can design your tables with the correct format for your purpose. Price per unit column displays plain numbers decimals. General is selected in Number command group. B. Price per unit column displays monetary numbers, i.e. $48.00. Currency is selected in Number command group. Figure 9. 14. The default formatting for cell data is A, general, but if you change it to B, currency, Excel will add 2 decimal places and a currency symbol. Used with permission from Microsoft. Page Layout and Review tabs. The Page Layout tab, Figure 9:15, lets the user control the page setup for printing, such as the paper size, the vertical or horizontal orientation, and the print margins. It also contains the settings for arranging graphical objects on a worksheet. One of the most useful commands here is the Breaks drop-down menu, where you can insert page breaks, just like in Microsoft Word, so that when you print your worksheet, the page breaks occur where you want them to. Excel Page Layout tab command groups. Themes, colors, fonts, effects, page setup, margins, orientation, size, print area, breaks, background, print titles, scale to fit width, height, scale, sheet options, grid lines, headline. Figure 9:15. The Page Layout tab includes commands for page setup and manipulation of objects, used with permission from Microsoft. The Review tab contains the commands for adding and reviewing comments and activating the Track Changes tool, as shown in Figure 9:16. It also has password protection options, where you can restrict others' editing capabilities when you are collaborating on the same project. The spell checker and thesaurus tools are also included in the Review tab. Your Review tab might look somewhat different based on the version of Excel that you are using. If these commands are not included on your ribbon, you can add those using the process outlined in Essentials of Business Software Applications for Business. Excel Review tab command groups: proofing, spelling, thesaurus, workbook statistics, accessibility, check accessibility, insights, smart lookup, language translate, changes, show changes, comments, new comment, delete, previous comment, next comment, show comments. Figure 9:16. The Review tab lets you manage comments, sharing settings, and spelling tools, used with permission from Microsoft. Learning objectives. By the end of this section, you will be able to create basic formulas, add numbers in Excel using a formula or function, subtract numbers in Excel using a formula or function, multiply numbers in Excel using a formula or function, divide numbers in Excel using a formula or function. At WorldCorp, you manage several account teams, each of which has a sales team. Part of your job is to compare the sales agent's revenues using some basic data analysis, which you can extend to other applications in your job. To assess the performance of the agents and the sales team, you will need to create some basic formulas. These formulas could include the total sales during a specific time period by agent or the average sales per time period for the whole team. These values can then be used to put together a report of the performance of your entire team. Upper management compiles the reports from all the teams to summarize the company's performance. Using basic formulas in Microsoft Excel expedites the process and helps management to uniformly analyze the information. Setting up basic formulas. Now that you have learned how to set up a table or spreadsheet, you can perform calculations on the data. First, select the cell where you want the calculation to appear. Use the formula bar located below the ribbon to type in the formula or function, starting with the equals sign, Figure 9:17. Excel ribbon with the Home tab selected and a spreadsheet. Cell H2 is selected and shows $26,016. And equals E2 asterisk G2 typed in the formula bar. Currency is selected in the number category. Figure 9:17. Formulas must begin with the equals sign and contain mathematical operators, i.e., plus, asterisk, used with permission from Microsoft. Adding numbers. You have learned the 2 ways to add quantities in Excel: formulas and functions. We can use WorldCorp sales data to illustrate how to add numbers. Figure 9:18a contains a set of sales data with a row at the bottom for the total of all the sales but with the total amount missing. To fill in this empty cell, first, type equals to open the calculation procedure. Then, click on the first cell you want to add, type a plus sign, then click on the next cell in the column. Continue this process until all the cells you want to add are included. Figure 9:18b shows the finished formula that includes all the cells in the columns. Notice that Excel adds colors to the cells to help you follow the formulas. A cell E9 displays total, blank cell F9 selected. B. Cell F9 selected. Formula bar displays equals F3 plus F4 plus F5 plus F6 plus F7 plus F8. Cells in F column are highlighted in different colors that correspond to cells in formula. Figure 9. 18. You can use a formula to find the sum of a set of cells. A. The table has a cell for the total sales. First, type an equals sign, then use the cell references or click on the cells and a plus sign to construct the formula. B. The finished formula shows all of the cells referenced. Used with permission from Microsoft. When you have a small set of data, or when the numbers you are adding using the plus operator are not all in one row or column, using an addition formula may be the best way to find your sum. However, Excel has built-in shortcuts such as the sum function. Functions can often save you time over performing the same calculations using formulas. Like formulas, functions must begin with an equals sign, but rather than using cell references to build an equation, you type the function name, in this case, sum, figure 9. 19. Then, type an open parenthesis, insert the cell references separated by commas and then close the parentheses. You can click on each cell individually or type its cell reference, as in figure 9. 20. But you'll notice that this method does not save time because you are still entering or clicking each cell reference. Functions allow users to reference individual cells, but they also allow us to choose multiple cells at the same time, which does save time. To select a range of cells, which is a group of cells that are contiguous, you can type in the function and opening parenthesis, and then highlight the cells you want to add. You can also type in the range, separating the first cell and the last cell with a colon. Figure 9. 21 shows the range as F3, F11. Functions are often faster to type than formulas, but sometimes you will need to use both formulas and functions to perform complex calculations. Cell F12 selected displays equals sum. A pane displays options for sum selected, SUMIF, SUMPRODUCT, SUMSQ, SUMX to MY2, SUMX to PY2, SUMX MY2. A text box reads. Adds all the numbers in a range of cells. Figure 9. 19 functions are time-saving methods for performing calculations on data. To find the sum of a range of cells, type the equals sign and sum. Used with permission from Microsoft. Cell F12 selected, formula bar reads equals sum F. Cells F3, F11 are highlighted in different colors corresponding to their selection. A box reads, sum number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, number 10. Figure 9, 20. Then choose the cells you want to include. Used with permission from Microsoft. Cell F12 and the formula bar show equals sum F3, F11. Cells F3 through F11 are selected. A small text box shows sum number 1, number 2, figure 9. 21. Using a range rather than listing individual cells can save you time. Used with permission from Microsoft. Link to learning. The Formula Builder is a tool in Excel that can help you create a function based on your data and your needs. Read the tutorial on the sum function to learn how to use the Formula Builder. Subtracting numbers. Understanding how to add numbers in Excel makes subtracting them rather intuitive. If you wanted to subtract many cells in a column, you could type out a long subtraction equation, starting with the equals sign and using cell references and the hyphen key. For example, equals F3F, 4F, 5F, 6F, 7F, 8F, 9F, 10F, 11. Using a new set of data, you can see in figure 9.22 that the margin is the price minus the cost. You can carry this formula down the rows in the same column. Cell D4 is selected and shows 85. The formula bar says equals B4C4. B4 says $170 and C4 says 85, figure 9.22. Subtraction in Excel uses formulas that are similar to addition formulas, but there is no subtraction function. Used with permission from Microsoft. Multiplying numbers. With multiplication, formulas and functions start getting more complicated. Sometimes you may need to multiply the values of 2 or more cells, and other times you may need to multiply a cell value by a constant value such as a percentage. One may be more efficient than the other, depending on the data. In figure 9.23, the price per unit is the same for every row, so you can use cell references to multiply the quantity cell by the price per unit cell. Because this table contains only one product, the unit price does not change, and it can be tedious to enter the same price for each sale. You can enter the price per unit in the first row and then click and drag the value to the bottom of your table. Another method would be to simplify your table by eliminating the price per unit column and including the value in the formula figure 924. Condensing a table in this manner is helpful, especially if you have a large table of data. To construct a multiplication formula, start with an equals sign and use an asterisk as the mathematical operator. Cell G4 is selected and says $2,128. The formula bar shows equals D4 asterisk F4. Cell D4 says 76 and cell F4 says 28. Figure 9.23 for multiplication. Use cell references to construct formulas. Used with permission from Microsoft. Cell F3 says $280. The formula bar says equals D3 asterisk 28. Cell D3 says 10. Figure 9.24. You can also use constants to construct formulas. Used with permission from Microsoft. For multiplication, you can also use the product function. Figure 9.25 shows an example of the function syntax. When you have entered all of the cell references, close the parentheses, and the product will be the same as it would if you had used a formula. Cell G3 is selected and says $280. The formula bar shows equals product D3 F3. Cell D3 says 10 and cell F3 says 28. Figure 9.25. You can use the product function for multiplication. Used with permission from Microsoft. Dividing numbers. Division calculations use the operator and follow a similar syntax as other basic mathematical formulas. Figure 9.26a shows an example of division for determining increases or decreases in prices of aluminum. As you can see, the gain on 1/10/2021 was 2.36%. Excel does have a quotient function, but it returns only whole numbers, leaving off the decimal portion of the quotient. Figure 9.26b. It may be useful for some situations, but formulas provide more exact answers. A cell E4 is selected 0236 and formula bar reads equals D4/C4. B column E displays information with a percent sign, i.e. 236%. Figure 9.26. The division formula uses a slash and returns a quotient with decimal places, but you can format it to be B a percentage. Used with permission from Microsoft. Learning objectives. By the end of this section, you will be able to format and manipulate a cell or group of cells. Design column and row headers. Use conditional formatting. Work with templates to format worksheets. At WorldCorp, there is so much data that it is impossible to look at it all at once. For example, on a long worksheet with several hundred or thousand orders, you might want to see only orders over a certain value. In the previous sections, you learned how to organize the information in a spreadsheet and analyze the data using some basic calculations. These calculations provide the information needed to present the data to other entities in the corporation, but it might not yet be formatted in a professional manner. You may want to ensure the data meets certain criteria. You might want to add additional formatting to highlight certain trends in the data or group the data in a different way to show meaningful differences. With the skills you learned in the previous sections and those to follow, you can create a meaningful report and analysis of the data to effectively communicate company performance. This report can be utilized to measure company progress towards strategic goals or to compare WorldCorp to their competitors. Formatting cells. We've discussed formatting cells according to their contents, such as number, percentage, or text, but formatting extends to the visual presentation of a worksheet. In this context, formatting involves applying colors, font types, and borders to cells for styling purposes. It can make a presentation more visually appealing or distinct from other presentations. Another important reason for formatting is to increase the readability and comprehension of data. Formatting can be applied to text and numbers, to cell backgrounds, or to cell borders. It is important to remember that sometimes additional formatting may not be necessary. The goal is to have a professional presentation of the information. Too much formatting, such as bright colors or distracting fonts, does not enhance the presentation of the information. It is advisable to stick to simple formatting that is not distracting and is in line with company standards for your corporation. Using color and fonts. Colors and fonts can be used to highlight specific parts of a worksheet, such as the header row or the total row, and to indicate the end of a table. Highlighting values that are outside of a certain range or to show trends in a dataset can also be useful. In accounting, the convention is to have negative numbers in red font and positive numbers in black font. These uses of colors and fonts provide meaningful information to the user at a glance. In Figure 9.27a, the current header row is gray with white font. Suppose your manager wants to follow the color scheme of the company and wants the header row to be highlighted with a blue cell fill and a larger font. To change the fill color of the cells, first select the cells you want to change, Figure 9.27a, and then click on the paint bucket in the Font command group on the Home tab. The drop-down arrow next to the bucket allows you to choose from many preset colors, or you can create your own by clicking on More Colors. For this table, click on the blue fill box in the middle of the fifth column of colors. Now that the background is blue, the white font is harder to read, so you should change it to a darker color. To change the color of the font, select the cells and click on the text icon next to the paint bucket. You can change the font by clicking on the Font drop-down menu and the size by clicking on the adjacent Font Size drop-down menu, Figure 9.27b. You can also change the formatting of individual cells, but it saves time to highlight all of the header cells and format them at the same time. A shading button opens to options. Theme colors, standard colors, no fill, more colors. B font size opens to font sizes options. Spreadsheet displays blue fill in row 1 with bold font. Figure 9.27. You can easily change the cell fill color, font type, and text color. A. Select the paint bucket from the Home tab to change the color of the background fill. A drop-down menu gives you many options, or you can define your own color using more colors. The new background fill color is more visually appealing, but the text does not stand out as it would in a different color. B. Font size, type, and color can also be changed using the commands in the Font command group. Used with permission from Microsoft. Borders. The default style in Excel is for grid lines to be visible in order to distinguish one cell from another when viewed on the screen. However, there may be times when that distinction could be clearer, or you want to divide groups of columns or rows. You can use borders to make these distinctions. Let's assume you would like to put a border around the total cell. To add this border, first select the cell or cells where you want to add a border, Figure 9.28. Then, from the Home tab in the Font command group, you will find the Border command drop-down menu. You can also access this by right-clicking after you selected the cells and choosing Format Cells, and then the Borders tab, Figure 9.29a. By selecting the down arrow of the Border command, you can choose the appropriate border for the cell or cells. You can change the border style and color. First, select the style and thickness of the outline, change the color if you want it to be a color other than black, then apply it on the preview on the right by clicking on each border, Figure 9.29b. You can choose multiple styles of borders or leave cells without borders, such as if you wanted a border around your table but not within the rows and columns. More border options are available by choosing More Borders at the bottom of the list. This will bring up the Format Cells dialog box, Borders tab. Make sure your header row is now formatted consistently. Cell G11 is selected on a spreadsheet with multiple columns and rows of data. Figure 9.28. To add borders, select the cells you want to add a border to. Used with permission from Microsoft. A borders options include borders, i.e., bottom, top, left, right, no, all, outside, draw borders, draw border, grid, erase. B. Border tab in Format Cells options. Line style, color, presets, border. Figure 9.29a. You can use the Borders command drop-down menu or right-click and choose Format Cells. B. You can select various thickness levels of the border around the cell. Used with permission from Microsoft. Cropping text. When you are working with text that is long, you can extend the width of your columns to fit it all in. One way is to do it manually. Hover over the line between two columns. The cursor will change to a black vertical line with opposite arrows. Click on this line and drag the column to your preferred width. You can also use the AutoFit command to automatically size the columns to fit the data contained in that column, Figure 9. 30A. To auto-fit the columns, hover over the line between the columns as you would to do it manually. Then, double-click on the line and the column will adjust to the width of the contents. For example, to automatically size column E to the appropriate size for the data in the column, double-click on the line between the D and F columns at the top of the spreadsheet. Sometimes, the text is so long that the whole width of the column is not visible on your screen. Other times, you may not want a column to take up most of the width of your table. In those cases, the text is cut off. In Figure 9. 30A, the header for column E is too long to fit in the cell. To fix this, select the cell, then on the Home tab, click on Wrap Text. The Wrap Text feature arranges the text in a cell so that it extends onto another line and increases the height of the row, Figure 9. 30B, A cell E1 displays cut-off text, cursor with two black arrows at top right in cell. B wrap text is selected and text in cell fits. Size of row 2 enlarged, Figure 9. 30 text wrapping can make long text fit in a column. A, the header for column E is too long for the width of the column. Double-click or click and drag the line between columns to widen or narrow a column. The wrap text feature allows you to see text that is cut off. B text wrapping changes the height of a row to accommodate long text. Used with permission from Microsoft. Merging cells. Borders provided one method of grouping content in a table, but there are other ways to show that some rows or columns of data should be grouped together. The merge feature combines the content from two or more cells. When merging, the content and formatting of the first cell supersedes the content and formatting of the others. Merging cells can increase the readability of the tables. Figure 9. 31A shows a row added above the header row to group some of the columns together to identify important sales order information to the port dispatchers. The first two columns tell the port dispatchers when the order was placed, so you want the cell that says when to span both columns. First, add when to the first cell. Then select both cells over the columns you want the header to span and click on Merge and Center on the Home tab. Figure 931B shows the merged and centered cells. This can be repeated with cells E3 and F3. You can also merge content within a table. At the bottom, merge cell A14 with cells B14, C14, D14, E14, and F14 to make the total row more readable. Now that the merging is complete, you can format the border outlines. Format the top row, making sure all cell contents are centered and have borders, and add borders to the bottom row to highlight the totals. Figure 9. 31C shows the completed table. A row 3 cells in spreadsheet, all single cells. B 2 cells in row highlighted. C spreadsheet displays sets of cells merged together to create one larger cell with text centered inside. Figure 9. 31 merging cells is useful for presentation and readability purposes. You can A. Group columns by adding a row above the header row, merge and center cells to create a new label above the date and time. B. Merge and center cells to group the quantity and the code, and merge cells next to the total to create a more readable total. You can also add borders. C. The final table is clear and readable, used with permission from Microsoft. Link to learning. Did you know that you can embed Excel objects and components into other Microsoft applications? You can insert all or parts of an Excel worksheet into your presentations and documents, saving time from recreating the same content in these applications. Embedding content also helps ensure that the content provided in your document or presentation is accurate, as changes in Excel will update in these files as well. Visit this Microsoft page that shows how to embed Excel content in PowerPoint to learn more. Working with columns and rows. The label added to tables at the top of a column or to the left of a row to make the data understandable is called a header. You've already learned to type words at the top of a column and format cells so that the headers look different from the rest of the table. Fonts can be bolded or centered, and background colors or shading applied. You can also freeze columns and rows so that the viewer of the document can see the header even if the document extends beyond the screen. Hiding rows and columns can also be useful for reducing the size of a worksheet. Freezing columns and rows. When you have a large set of data, you will need to scroll beyond the edges of your screen to see all of it. You will need to be able to look at the data in each column or row, but scrolling can take the header row or column off the screen. To ensure that the column or row headers are visible, you can use a command called freeze panes, which fixes the headers on the screen while allowing users to scroll through the rest of the data. The table in Figure 9. 32a extends beyond row 22. As you scroll down through the data, notice that you can no longer see the column headers, so you will want to freeze the header row so that you can still see the column headers when you scroll down through the data. Figure 9, 32b shows the choices in the Freeze Panes command on the View tab. You can freeze the top row, the first column, or both. For this data, freeze the top row so that scrolling down will keep the column headers in view. Figure 9, 32b shows a line below the top row that indicates that the row is frozen. You are not limited to only freezing a header row or column. Excel allows you to use freeze panes anywhere in the spreadsheet. Just click on a cell and then on Freeze Panes and it will freeze everything above and to the left of it. A. Header in spreadsheet not visible. B. Freeze Panes is selected and opens to options. Freeze Panes, freeze top row, freeze first column. Row 1 visible in spreadsheet with row 17 beneath. Figure 9. 32 using the Freezing Panes command keeps headers visible when data extends off the screen. A. Before the header row is frozen, scrolling down removes the header from view. B. The Freeze Panes options are found on the View tab. Clicking on Freeze Panes allows for freezing the top row, first column, or both. Freezing the header row shows a line that indicates the row is frozen and keeps it in view while scrolling. Used with permission from Microsoft. Mac tip. On a Mac, Excel uses icons for many of the drop-down menus that appear in the Windows version. The Freeze tool, for example, is always visible at the top of your active workbook. Link to learning. GoSkills is a company that offers a variety of free or paid online courses. Go to their website to review presentation tips for Excel tables and learn more. Hiding columns and rows. Sometimes when working with data, information may be irrelevant for one use but cannot be deleted. This could be important when formatting spreadsheets for various users or when performing calculations. A user might not need to see all the data that goes into the formula, but needs to see the final result of the formula. For example, in Figure 932a, column B contains the name of the port, but all of the visible data for the port is the same. If the port of Portland, Maine is working with this data, they won't need to see the column that contains the port name. Additionally, the workers at the port won't need to know the price per unit. To make the table more usable for these workers, you can use the hide command, which temporarily removes designated rows or columns from view. To hide a row or column, click on the row or column designation, the number to the left of the row header or the letter above the column header to select the whole row or column, then right-click and select Hide from the menu column B in Figure 9. 33a, the result is shown in Figure 9. 33b. To unhide a column, select the two columns that surround the hidden column, right-click and select Unhide, Figure 9. 34a. The column appears again as shown in Figure 9. 34b. You can tell when a row or column is hidden by looking at the header, where you can see that letters or numbers are missing and there are two lines between the column or row designations. For example, we can see in Figure 9. 33b that the header row goes from column A to column C. B is hidden and is not shown as a header. It is important to watch for that when you are using a spreadsheet that you did not create. A. Column B is highlighted, hide is selected from menu. B. Column B is no longer visible on spreadsheet. Two vertical lines display between columns A and C to indicate missing columns. Figure 9. 33 using the hide command makes rows columns temporarily not visible in a table. A. Right-click on the column and select Hide. B. When columns are hidden, double lines and skipped letters are indicated in the letter designation header. Used with permission from Microsoft. A. Columns A and C are selected in the spreadsheet and Unhide is selected from menu. B. Column B is visible again on the spreadsheet. Figure 9. 34A. To reveal the columns again, select the two columns on either side of the hidden one, right-click and select Unhide. B. All columns are visible again. Used with permission from Microsoft. Tip. To access the hide function, hold the Control key and click on the column. Conditional formatting. All of the formatting you have learned about so far has involved manually configuring individual cells or groups of cells. Excel has additional formatting features that can save you the time of manual formatting. One of these features, conditional formatting, analyzes the cell contents and applies certain preset designs or layouts based on the content. One example is to change the color of the font if the data is above or below a certain threshold, figure 935. Conditional formatting is not turned on by default, so you will need to apply and customize it. Click on the drop-down menu next to Conditional Formatting on the Home tab and choose the formatting you want to use. You can set up the parameters using the dialog box shown in Figure 936A. Figure 936B shows another example of conditional formatting, highlighting the top 10 FOB values. Column D selected. Conditional formatting selection opens to highlight cell rules, then to options. Greater than, less than, between, equal to, text that contains, a date occurring, duplicate values, and more rules. Figure 935 conditional formatting automatically applies designated formatting to values that meet a certain criterion. The conditional formatting drop-down menu lists several commonly used choices. Used with permission from Microsoft. A. Cells 2500, 3000 highlighted red fill with dark red text 1000. B. Top 10 items format cells that rank in the top 10 with red text is selected, $39,102. $44,499. $0. Figure 936A. The dialog box allows you to set the parameters. B. There are numerous preset conditional formatting choices. Used with permission from Microsoft. Real-world application. Excel in the construction industry. The construction industry in the United States employs nearly 10 million people and contributes over $1 trillion to the economy and structures built each year. Excel can manage all the information needed to share among the various entities involved in a construction project. From building a small home garden shed to constructing an office complex, Excel can help manage the overall progress of a construction project. Excel can be helpful when estimating costs for construction projects to submit bids for particular projects. Items that can be summarized, tracked, and analyzed in Excel include order tracking, calculating needed quantities of materials such as lumber or piping, and payroll. Even for the small construction management company, Excel can be used to effectively manage a large construction project to keep the project on time and within budget. There are many templates available to help set up a construction project from start to finish. What are some other industries where Excel could be a useful tool? Working with templates. As in the other Office applications, Excel has built-in and online templates. Microsoft has their own online templates for Office, but many other websites offer free Excel templates. Templates are blank, formatted workbooks that you populate with your own data. Microsoft provides some built-in templates. Figure 937 shows the selection of a sales report which has 5 sheets. This sales report has an order ledger called Sales Data with the product name, customer code, and quarterly sales figures. The template comes with a few lines of generic data. The other sheets use the data you enter on the first sheet. The second sheet uses the sales data but organizes it by product. The third sheet organizes the same data by customer. The fourth sheet filters the data to show the top 10 products, and the fifth sheet filters the data to show the top 10 customers. You should be able to find a similar template in your version of Excel, but there are many other sales reports templates available. The template library is frequently updated by Microsoft, so the versions you see might look a bit different than what we have shown here. The functionality will be similar, but the colors and the layout could vary. A built-in template of a sales report with 5 sheets is shown. The template comes with a few lines of generic data. 4 other tabs are shown along the bottom. Figure 937 templates are preformatted and predesigned tables. You can find the templates by clicking on File and New. A sales report has formatting and formulas preset so that all you need to do is enter your data. Used with permission from Microsoft. Figure 9:38 shows a product price list downloaded from HTTP templates. Office. Com that has columns for a product inventory number, product name, product description, retail price, and volume selling price. This sort of price list is an information sheet for potential business clients who are considering products from you. These templates are modifiable, so you can update the header with your company's information. You can also add more products or change the headers. A customizable spreadsheet is shown. Columns and rows offer example of information placement as well as style, fonts, colors, and organization. Figure 9:38. Although templates come with their own formatting, you can customize them based on your needs. Used with permission from Microsoft. Spotlight on ethics. Ethical considerations in using templates. Templates are a wonderful resource and can save time and money in creating spreadsheets and workbooks in Excel. Templates can come with preset formatting and formulas, with little more to do than enter your own data. There are many templates available online, but you must choose one carefully. You will need to consider the purpose of the template you are using, company policy regarding branding, the version of the software you are using, as well as copyright and licensing of the template itself prior to using it for business purposes. For instance, perhaps you are using a template to create an invoice to provide clients. The template may hold a license that allows you to use the template for commercial use so long as you do not resell the template itself, or the license might prohibit commercial use altogether, restricting its use to nonprofit activities only. If that is the case, you should not use the template for business purposes as it may place the business at risk of litigation. It is always best to carefully read the user agreement and license of a template prior to implementing it. Where might you find a template's licensing and permissible usage information? How can you be sure you are permitted to use a template in the manner in which you intend? Footnotes. 1. Ken Simonson, Construction Data. Associated General Contractors of America. Learning objectives. By the end of this section, you will be able to identify common uses and basic features of Google Sheets, describe the essential functions of each command group on the toolbar, create a worksheet in Google Sheets, open an existing workbook in Google Sheets. Print a Google Sheets file. Google Sheets is another spreadsheet application that has much of the same functionality as Microsoft Excel. They have similar GUIs in that they use window menus and a toolbar. Excel has the ribbon, which has wide tabs filled with commands. Sheets only has one toolbar menu, although its button commands grow over time as the product is updated. Sheets contains all the same basic features as Excel, but Excel is more robust with regard to higher-level tools. Common uses and basic features. Sheets serves the same basic purposes as Excel and can be used for most of the same purposes that any spreadsheet could serve. Google Workspace is a web-based service and does not have desktop versions like Microsoft Office. Because of this, there are some limitations to the functionality of Sheets compared with Excel. To access Sheets, you need to have internet access and a Gmail account. The basic features are the same as any other spreadsheet program. Similar to Excel, Sheets has rows and columns in an interface that does calculations for the user. It has automated features like autofill and easy copying of formatting. You can create all tables you've created in Excel in Sheets, including your order dispatching worksheets or sales reports. Sheets also requires you to separate the values in each column so that the spreadsheet can read the numbers and calculate the desired result. Words and letters should be separated from numbers in order for spreadsheets to use the numbers for calculations. Sheets doesn't have the same library of functions that you can find in Excel. On its own, Sheets may not be able to handle in-depth analysis like Excel can. The toolbar overview. Sheets does not have any ribbon tabs like Excel. Instead, the toolbar is composed of menus and commands. The menu options are similar to those you see in Excel in the ribbon tabs. The menus are as follows: File, Edit, View, Insert, Format, Data, Tools, and Extensions. To view the contents in the menu, simply hover over the menu title with your cursor. The File and Edit menus are similar to those for Google Docs, as covered in Essentials of Google Workspace. The View menu gives the user the ability to freeze and group cells together. Inserting and deleting cells can be accessed in the Insert menu. The data and text can be formatted using the commands contained in the Format menu. The Data menu includes commands similar to the Data tab in Excel that are useful for analyzing data in a spreadsheet. The Tools menu is like the Review tab in Excel with spelling and grammar checking commands. Advanced features are in the Extensions menu. The toolbar is called the Action bar and it mostly remains static, yet sometimes it adds functions based on usage. Figure 9:39 shows the toolbar. In addition to the menus, the toolbar includes buttons for the more frequently used commands for easy access. These commands can be accessed through the menus, but here they are available with one click. You will notice there is some similarity in the look of the icons in Sheets and Excel. The first two commands are Undo and Redo, then Print and Paint Format. After that, you see the Zoom drop-down menu, the Format as Currency, Format as Percent, Decrease Decimal Places or Increase Decimal Places, and more formats. Next are the menus for the font type and size, font formatting, border lines, alignment, text wrapping, and text rotation. The last group includes linking, commenting, and adding a graph, filter, or function. Toolbar options. Undo, Redo, Print, Paint Format, Zoom, Format as Currency, Percent, Decrease, Increase Decimal Places, more formats, font type, size, font formatting, border lines, alignment, text wrapping, rotation, linking, commenting, adding graph, filter, function. Figure 9:39. The toolbar in Sheets has one row of commands. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Mac tip: on a Mac, the Google Sheets action bar shows the menu like on a PC. However, rather than simply hovering, you will need to click on the menu title to see its contents. Creating Sheets. Figure 9:40 shows a finished sales report, much like an Excel worksheet. As in Excel, when you open Sheets, there is only one worksheet called Sheet 1. To add another sheet, you can click on the plus sign at the bottom left. This will add another sheet called Sheet 2. Let's walk through the steps to create this table in Sheets. Let's assume that you have handwritten invoices of a set of orders and you want to enter these invoices in Excel or Sheets. The receipt block pads are customized with a unique receipt number, your company logo, contact data, and other business information. These were popular before small and medium businesses started to use computerized receipts, yet you may still see these handwritten receipts sometimes. In such a case, after the sale has occurred, you need to input the data into Excel or Sheets. The first step in recreating the table in Figure 9:40 is to insert and format the headers in a blank worksheet. Then select the first 20 rows below the headers. Since the table has 20 rows of data, Figure 9:41, click on the Borders drop-down menu and choose All Borders. Next, change the format type for each column based on the contents of the column. Figure 9:42. For cells A2 to A21, use the Date format under the More Formats drop-down menu. Format cells B2 to B21 and C2 to C21 as plain text. You can leave cells D2 to D21 as automatic or change them to plain text. Format cells E2 to E21 and G2 to G21 as accounting. Automatic as a format type is the equivalent of General in Excel. To select two columns that are not contiguous, select the first one, in this case E, then press Ctrl on the keyboard and select G. This is called the Control plus Select process. For column F, you can leave it as automatic or format it as a number. Now you are ready to do the data entry of the manual invoicing. You will format the header after entering the data. An arrow points to a plus in the bottom left of Sheet 1. Figure 9:40. Formatting a normal sales report table in Sheets is similar to formatting in Excel. The table contains different types of data. First, create the headers. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Cells A1 to G20 are selected in a spreadsheet and the borders icon is selected. All borders is selected from the options visible. Figure 9:41. Then highlight the cells you will be filling in to add borders. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Column A is selected on a spreadsheet. The 123 button opens to selection including the selected automatic. Figure 9:42. Format each column according to the type of data it will contain. The first column is a date, so you can choose Date from the menu. The next two columns can be formatted as plain text. Columns E and G can be formatted as accounting. You can use Ctrl+Select to format both of them at the same time. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Next, enter the data in row 2 and follow the same steps for subsequent rows. The first several columns only require typing in data from the data source. The first order was placed on February 27, 2021, for 14 Model E 932-inch LCD TVs for $170 each. First, enter the date as 2/27/21, Figure 9, 43A. Because we selected the format in advance, it will automatically be formatted to the desired format of 2/27/2021. Fill in the rest of the data from the order across the row, Figure 9, 43B. The price is already in accounting format, so you do not need to type the currency symbol. The revenue, column G, is the product of the price and the quantity, so type in a formula, equals E2 asterisk F2, Figure 9, 43B. A. Row 1 is populated with headings. Cell A2 is selected 2/27/21 inside. B. Headings display in columns of row 1. Information populates row 2. Cell G2 selected. Formula bar displays equals E2 asterisk F2, Figure 9, 43. First, populate the first row of the table. A. The date should automatically be formatted as month, day, year. The rest of the data can be copied from the order. B. The revenue cell needs a formula so that it calculates the product of the price and the quantity. Notice the date is formatted correctly once you press Enter or navigate to another cell. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Now that the first row is finished, you will adjust the width of each column to accommodate the data so it looks like the original table. Place your cursor on the edge of column A and the cursor will change to an arrow, Figure 9, 44A, then double-click it. The column automatically adjusts to the width of the contents. To do this with a single action, highlight the entire table and then double-click between any two columns. This will apply the AutoFit function to all columns you have selected highlighted. When you do this for all columns, the columns all have different widths, Figure 9, 44B. Finally, to format the header row, select the whole row and click on the Fill Color command, choosing a similar color as shown in Figure 9. 45. A. Right side of column A is highlighted blue, columns vary in width. B. Columns display in all different widths to accommodate the date inside the cells. Figure 9. 44. After entering a row of data, you can do the final formatting of the table. A. Double-click at the edge of a column to change the width automatically. B. Repeat this process for all columns. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Row 1 is selected and the Fill Color command paint bucket icon selected. The drop-down shows Reset and 60 different color circles with the white selected with a checkmark. Figure 9, 45. You can change the white fill color of the header row to match the original table by choosing blue from the Fill Color command. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Navigating existing sheets. To open existing sheets, you start from Google Drive. Sign into your Drive account, then browse through your files to look for the existing workbooks. Double-click on an existing Sheets file and it will open in a new browser tab. Figure 9, 46 shows several files in Google Drive. You will need to recognize the icon for Sheets to know which are workbooks. The icon for Sheets is green. Sheets can also open Excel files. To browse for the saved Excel files not found in your Google Drive, choose Upload. Google My Drive page is visible. Arrow points to green box with off-center T on second file. Another arrow points to green box with white X in center on fourth file. Figure 9, 46. To open a Sheets file from Google Drive, you need to recognize the icon for Spreadsheets. The first arrow points to an Excel file and the second arrow points to a Sheets file. Sheets can open both types. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Spotlight on ethics. Maintaining accountability with version history. In order to open Docs or Sheets, you will need to create or log into your Google account. Every time you make a change to a file, Google Workspace uses your username to track it. If multiple people have been given access to open or edit the file, Google tracks these changes. You can review the changes different collaborators in your company make to a file using the version history feature located near the bottom of the file menu. Version history is tracked from file creation. If a user has editing privileges for a document, they can see the version history. You can also filter changes by date to see what users changed on a specific date. You can check what changes any coworker made in the document. Having access to the version history of the document protects the integrity of collaborating with others by establishing accountability. Changes to the file cannot be made without other collaborators knowing that changes have been made. This allows transparency of information flow between collaborators. This can become important in tracking down errors in the file and can guide you if you need to revert to an earlier version of a document. It is also an important feature that helps collaboration when the individuals are not in the same location. Printing sheets. The process for printing worksheets in Sheets is the same as it is in Excel. Choose Print from the File menu. Figure 9.47a. The dialog box that opens. Figure 9.47b lets you choose the print settings such as page setup, range of pages to print, and zoom level, just like in Excel. The print dialog box allows you to adjust the margins and add page breaks to make sure the spreadsheet prints as you would like. To adjust the margins, choose the Margins menu from the right side of the display. To add page breaks, choose Set Custom Page Breaks and move the lines to the desired location for the page breaks. Then choose Confirm Breaks in the upper right corner. You can also choose to print the active worksheet or the whole workbook. The whole workbook choice is shown in Figure 9.47b. When you click Next, Sheets will generate a preview of the file you are printing. Typically, your printer is listed as the default destination for printing. Choose the down arrow to choose your printer if it is not automatically listed. You can also generate a PDF file, which you can save and then download from the browser into your computer. You can then open the PDF file in Adobe Acrobat or any other PDF viewer such as Microsoft Edge and print it there. A. Print is selected from the File menu. B. Print pane displays option for workbook which opens to selected cells. A1. Portrait orientation, normal scale margins, formatting, and headers and footers also available. Figure 9.47 Printing from Sheets is similar to printing from Excel. A. Select Print from the File menu. You can print the current sheet. B. You can also print the entire workbook. Choose your printer from the Destination drop-down menu or save the file as a PDF. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Learning objectives. By the end of this section, you will be able to use the insert and copy and paste functions in Google Sheets, enter numeric and text data in a Sheets cell, create basic graphs from numeric and text data, use page layout and review features. There is a great need for text and numeric data in databases. For example, in WorldCorp's database, the client's surnames and given names are in two separate text data columns. The address, city, and state are each in their own text columns, too. The zip code and telephone may be in text format. This is because these values are numerical, but they are not used to perform any calculations. They are instead providing information about the client. Order quantity may be a number, and total dollar value per client is in accounting format. Sheets can handle large datasets in a similar manner to Excel. The cell formatting in Sheets is similar to that of Excel. Sometimes it is more a matter of company and/or personal preference. Some companies may be used to using Sheets for collaboration and information sharing, or a user might prefer the Sheets GUI over Excel. One drawback of Sheets is that it offers fewer options for charts and graphs than Excel. Using the copy and paste and insert functions before learning to design and build a table from a blank worksheet, you need to understand how to use formatting from an existing table, as with Excel. Say a table to be copied to a new blank worksheet. Follow the same basic procedure as with Excel. First, select the table Figure 9.48, then choose Copy from the Edit menu or press Ctrl+C on the keyboard. Next, go to the new worksheet and choose Paste from the Edit menu or press Ctrl+V. There will be a few minor differences between your new table and the original. For example, the column widths of the original were adjusted to their contents, whereas in the pasted table, all columns have the same width. To adjust the widths, you can double-click on the edges of the header row between two columns you want to adjust. Mac tip: as in Excel, Mac uses the Command key instead of the Control key. So the shortcut for copy is Command plus C and the shortcut for paste is Command plus V. You have now created a new table using the formatting of an existing table, but the table isn't exactly what we need. Your manager asks you to add a new column between existing columns for the destination. To do this, first click on the top of column C to highlight the whole column, because you will insert the new column to its left. Then, click on the Insert menu to select column left, figure 9. 49A, which will insert a blank column, figure 9. 49B, where you can input your new data. A spreadsheet with multiple columns and rows of data is shown. The whole table is selected, figure 9. 48, using the formatting of an existing table can make it easier to create a new one. The table being copied has formatted headers and cells. First, highlight the table and copy it. Then, paste it into the new workbook. Since the columns are all the same size, they need to be resized. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. A. Insert opens to options for column left and column right. B. Spreadsheet display: a new column created to the right of column B. All columns at right are now shifted right. Figure 9. 49A. Insert a column to the left of the item description. B. The empty column keeps the visual formatting in the header. Then, you can enter the data in the new column. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Working with numeric and text data in a Sheets cell, copying the formatting from an existing table is helpful, but it is not always an option. In some cases, you will need to create a table from scratch. The first step is to establish the headers in the first row, figure 9. 50A. Based on the headers, you can then choose the most appropriate format for the data, figure 9. 50B. A. Cells A1, A10 are selected in Spreadsheet. 123 icon opens to automatic option selected. B. Fill color selected and displays options for reset, various colors, theme, custom. Spreadsheet displays blue header. Figure 9. 50. Creating a table from scratch requires many steps. First, enter your headers in the first row. A. Then, format each column for the type of data it will contain. Adjust the column width when necessary. Format your header row by bolding and centering the content. B. Finally, add the background fill from the custom color menu. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. The format type Sheets uses are similar to the ones Excel uses. Table 9.3 compares the formats between Sheets and Excel. The names differ slightly, but many mean almost the same thing. There are minor differences like the order the format types appear in the menu, and there are some formats that are unique to Sheets. Sheets has the financial, currency, rounded, date, time, and duration formats that are not available in Excel. Type of numerical value difference compared to Excel: number same as Excel, percentage same as Excel, scientific same as Excel, accounting same as Excel, financial similar to accounting, but without the currency symbol, currency same as Excel, currency rounded similar to currency, but with no decimals, date same as Excel, time same as Excel, date, time similar to date and time, but together in one cell, duration unique to Sheets. A new way to measure time, table 9. 3 data formats in Google Sheets compared with Excel. Once you have your headers in place, you can apply the appropriate format to the cells below. Select all of column A and go to the More Formats drop-down menu and use the date format, figure 9. 50A. You can set the next 3 columns as plain text and leave columns E and F as automatic format. Set column G as accounting. Then you can fill in the table by adding each order. With all of the data entered, you can make any final formatting changes. First, adjust the width of the columns by double-clicking at the edge of each column. Next, drag the edge of column F to make it narrower so that the header has 1 word per line. Then, center a line and apply bold font on all headers. Finally, apply the background color from the custom set of colors, which shows recently used colors, figure 9. 50B. Using numeric and text data to create basic graphs. To create a chart or graph in Sheets, the process is slightly different from Excel. First, select the data as you would do when creating a graph or chart in Excel. Then, go to the Insert menu and choose Chart. The chart will appear on the screen in the spreadsheet you have created. Google will analyze the type of data and choose the chart that seems appropriate for the data you have selected. The chart editor window will appear to the right. Here, you can adjust the type of chart you want to use and customize the chart with titles and other formatting options. Use the sales report created in Figure 9. 50b to make a graph that compares the FOB to the date. In other words, it will show the amount of money traded on each day. Sheets analyzes the data before creating the graph and will manipulate the data to be chronological, if necessary. It will also use its built-in artificial intelligence to choose the type of graph most appropriate for the data. You can override the graph type Sheets selects if there is one you feel is more appropriate. Pivot Tables Charts goes into more detail about creating graphs and charts. To create a basic graph, first select the columns you want to compare, Figure 9. 51, using the Control key to select two non-contiguous columns. Then, click on Insert Chart and Sheets will create the graph it determines is the most appropriate. You can change the type of graph if you prefer a different type. Using the Chart Type drop-down menu, you can choose a different layout, Figure 952. Two other options for this data are a bar chart with the chronological order inversed and an area chart which is similar to the line chart. When choosing any chart option, Sheets will automatically reorder the dates. A spreadsheet with multiple columns and rows of data is shown. Columns A and G are selected. The Insert Chart icon on the toolbar is selected. Figure 9. 51 Creating graphs in Sheets is simple because of the built-in analysis the application performs. First, choose the columns you want to compare and click on Insert Chart. Sheets automatically chose a line chart for the data. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Chart Editor sidebar displays Setup tab selected. Line Heart is selected from chart type and suggested and line options display thumbnail images for selection. Document displays chart selected. Figure 9. 52 The Chart Editor sidebar gives other options for the type of chart. Another option for this set of data is a bar chart. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Link to learning the help forums for Sheets contain a short introduction to all the types of graphs you can build. They describe the use of each of the graphs, previews, and short step-by-step instructions. Go to Google's support page on the different graph types to learn more. Page layout and review menus. Sheets does not have menus that directly compare to the page layout and review tabs in Excel, but it does have many of the same features. One feature Sheets does not have is page setup. The items in the page setup command group such as margins and page orientation are managed in the print setting in Google. Similar to the themes command group in Excel, Sheets has a theme option found in the Format menu, Figure 9. 53. Excel's Page Layout tab also has the background command that allows you to choose an image for the background of your worksheet. This feature is partly available in Sheets in the Insert menu, which allows you to insert an image in cell or image over cells. Figure 9. 54a. The result of placing an image in a cell is shown in Figure 9. 54b. The inserted image, either in a cell or over cells, sits on top of the information in the cells, unlike in Excel, where the image is in the background. The other functions like moving an object forward or backward, adding grid lines or scaling settings are partly available in Sheets. You can insert objects such as Google Draw files, Google Forms, charts, and images into the worksheets, but moving them around may be more cumbersome and less robust compared with Excel. Parta shows A1. G1 selected. Across the top, the Format tab is selected and the drop-down shows Theme New, Number, Bold, Italic, Underline, Strike-Through, Font Size, and Align. Figure 9. 53 Page layout features in Sheets differ somewhat from those in Excel. Themes are used to set a color scheme and are font type for your spreadsheet. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. A. Insert opens to image selected with options for in equals mage in cell and image over cells. B. Image of table inserted into cell D1 on the spreadsheet, filling the entire cell. Figure 9. 54a. You can insert an image in a single cell or over all of the cells in a worksheet. B. Inserting an image in a single cell fills the cell with the image. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. The review features in Sheets differ somewhat from the Review tab commands in Excel. Sheets allows you to insert a comment, Figure 9. 55, and view all the comments on the document by clicking on the Comment History button on the top. The Tools menu in Sheets has a spelling and grammar check, Figure 9. 56. Insert tab is selected and the drop-down menu includes a selected option for comment. Figure 9. 55. Some review features in Sheets are similar to those of Excel. Comments are available in the Insert menu. You can also review all comments in a workbook. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. The Tools tab is selected and opens to options for spelling, which opens to options for spell check and personal dictionary. Figure 9. 56. The spelling and grammar check are in the Tools menu. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Learning objectives. By the end of this section, you will be able to add numbers in Sheets, subtract numbers in Sheets, multiply numbers in Sheets, divide numbers in Sheets. Microsoft Excel has been around for decades, yet there are no functions for subtracting or dividing numbers. Users must still build formulas with the appropriate mathematical operator to divide or subtract numbers. Google Sheets has added a minus and a divide function. WorldCorp likes being able to use these functions in their number crunching. Adding numbers. Adding numbers in Sheets uses the same commands and formulas as Excel does. Here, you will compare orders from two clients, Client A and Client B, who ordered the same product, headphones, but at different times and in different quantities. Figure 9. 57 is a snapshot of these orders, showing the two clients' order history in two different tables. Two spreadsheets are visible. The top spreadsheet is labeled Client A, the lower spreadsheet is labeled Client B. Figure 9. 57. The addition formula in Sheets works the same way as in Excel. We can use the addition formula to summarize this information into one shorter table. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. You will design a new table that summarizes these orders by client and by month using the data found in the two client tables. Figure 9. 58 shows a snapshot of the summarized orders of each client, separated by month. In this table, we use the plus sign to add the cells containing numbers, for example, equals G3 plus G4 plus G5 plus G6 plus G7 plus G8 plus G9, in the formula bar to add together total sales for each month by client. Note this syntax is the same as Excel. Cell P5 is selected $19,584. And equals G3 plus G4 plus G5 plus G6 plus G7 plus G8 plus G9 shown in the formula bar. Figure 9. 58. You can use the addition formula to add up all of the sales that occur in a specific month. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. The same calculations can occur using functions. You can use the table in Figure 958 but replace the plus sign with the sum function like Excel. Type equals sum and open parenthesis, then list the cells you wish to add, putting a comma after each cell reference. Then close the formula with a closing parenthesis, Figure 9. 59. Repeat the process for all sales data by month and client. Cells D21, D22, D23, and D24 are selected in a group. The formula bar and a cell in column L says equals sum D21, D24. Figure 9. 59 Sheets offers a sum function that can be used instead of formulas. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Subtracting numbers. One way to use subtraction in data analysis is to determine how far an order is above or below the average order. This information can tell us which clients might need more attention to increase their orders or to analyze ordering patterns due to seasonality. To perform this calculation, we will measure the distance from the average. First, find the average, which is the total sales divided by the number of orders. Using the data in Figure 957, insert two columns after quantity for the average quantity and distance from average, and insert two more columns after fob dollar for the average fob and distance from average. Then, find the average for each of these and repeat the value in all cells in that column. Then, to find the distance from average, subtract the average from the individual order for both quantity and fob. Figure 9. 60 shows the average columns and the formula for finding the distance from average. Then, apply the formula to all rows. Figure 961. Repeat the process for the distance from average for fob. Figure 9. 62. In these statistical analyses, you can see that there are some large orders that make the average high, which in turn makes many smaller orders have a negative distance from average and makes them seem even smaller by comparison. Cell G3 is selected and formula bar reads equals E3F3, which also shows in cell G3. A pop-up box shows above the equals sign in cell G3 with $34.72 inside. Figure 9:60. You can perform subtraction calculations in sheets using formulas, just as in Excel. After finding the average, subtract the average from the quantity to get the distance from average. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Cell G24 is selected and the formula bar shows equals E24F24. The information in the cell is $14.72, figure 9:61. Then copy the formula to all cells in the same row. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Cell J24 is selected. The formula in the formula bar is equals H24I24 with cell showing $706.67. Figure 9:62. Do the same calculation to find the distance from average for the fob. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Sheets also offers a subtraction function. Unlike Excel, you can replace the subtraction formula with the minus function. First, type equals minus and list the cell references separated by a comma, figure 9:63. The minus function subtracts numbers in the order they appear in the formula just as if they were separated by in a formula. You can repeat this for all the subtraction formulas in the table. You can only subtract two numbers using the minus function. Cell G3 is selected and the formula in the formula bar reads equals minus E3F3. In cell G3 this shows equals minus E3F3. Figure 9:63. Sheets has the advantage over Excel in that it has a minus function. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Multiplying numbers. As in Excel, when using the multiplication formula in Sheets, you can multiply a cell reference by a constant or a cell reference by a cell reference. Using the same dataset, you can find the fob dollar by multiplying the quantity by the price per unit. Figure 9:64a shows multiplication of the cell reference from the quantity column by the constant price per unit without adding a column for the value. A price per unit column is added and the constant in the formula is replaced with the cell reference, figure 9:64b. You can repeat the calculation for all rows as previously illustrated. A. Cell F3 displays $720. In cell and formula bar displays equals D3*48. B. An addition column F has been added price per unit. Cell G3 fob dollar displays equals D3*F3. Figure 9:64. You can use cell references and constants for multiplication using formulas in Sheets. A. The price per unit is the same for all items in this table, so you can multiply the quantity by the price without adding a column. Alternatively, you can add a column for the price per unit and B. Use cell references to perform the calculation. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. To use the function, replace the formula with equals multiply and add the constant and/or cell references in parentheses, separated by commas, figure 9:65. You can only multiply two numbers using the multiply function. Sheets has another function, product, that can multiply a series of numbers rather than just two. Cell G3 is selected and the formula bar and cell say equals multiply D3F3. Figure 9:65. The function for multiplication in Sheets is multiply. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Dividing numbers. Dividing numbers using formulas in Sheets is also the same as in Excel. You can use the same sales data to find the proportion of sales of each client compared with the total. Start with the data from figure 958, organized by month. Add a column for the total sales for each month and one for the proportion, and then add a formula to calculate the total sales for clients A and B for each month, figure 9:66. Now that you have the totals, find the proportion by dividing the FOB in O3 by the total in Q3, figure 9:67. Repeat the same operation for the other three rows, figure 9:68. This analysis shows the sales behavior differences between clients A and B this data analyzes shows that in December, client B had 36% of the sales, and in January, client A had 81% of the sales. The proportion can be changed into a percentage to increase readability, as shown in Figure 9. 69. Spreadsheet visible. Cell Q5 in totals column contains formula equals 05 plus 06 box above reads $29,760, $0. Cell O5 contains $10,176, and cell O6 contains $19,584. Figure 9, 66. You can use division to find the proportion of sales by client and by month. First, find the total sales for each month. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. This spreadsheet shows previously empty cells Q5 and Q6 both filled in with $29,760. In cell R3, this is written equals 0303 with a text box above with $0, $48 inside. Figure 9. 67. Then use the division formula to divide the client's total by the total monthly sales. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. This spreadsheet shows column R filled in R3 04764, R4 05236, R5 03419, R6 06581. Figure 9. 68. Carry these formulas down the column to get the proportion for each client in each month. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Spreadsheet shows column R selected and data inside as a percentage with the percent sign. The percent icon from action bar is selected format as percent. Formula bar shows $03/$Q. Figure 9. 69. Reformatting the cells as percentages makes the data more useful. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. The division function in Sheets works in the same way as other mathematical functions. You can type equals divide, and then enter the cell references separated by a comma. Figure 9. 70. Notice that the result of the divide function is a decimal. The numbers are divided in the order in which they are placed in the function, and you can only divide two numbers using the divide function. The quotient function in Sheets also works in the same way as Excel. The result of the quotient function will be a whole number, not a decimal. For example, when you divide 5 by 4, the answer is 125, but using the quotient function, the answer will be displayed as 1. Cell R3 is selected and equals divide. $03/$Q6 shows in the formula bar and in cell R3. Figure 9. 70. You may use divide as a function in Sheets. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Learning objectives. By the end of this section, you will be able to format and manipulate a cell or group of cells. Design column and row header. Use conditional formatting. Work with templates to format worksheets. Google Sheets has the same formatting features that Microsoft Excel does. The cell formatting of fonts and shading of cells is part of everyday use when making headers. Text wrapping is also a feature in Sheets. Like Excel, there are numerous Sheets templates available online and within the application. All of these features make Sheets a valuable spreadsheet application for WorldCorp. Formatting cells. Sheets has the same functionality for formatting cells as Excel does. For example, you can use contrasting color combinations to make text easier to read. The main difference in formatting cells between Sheets and Excel is the location of the tools, using color and fonts. The tables in Figure 9. 57 have the standard blue headers we've been using. Starting with these tables, we will apply formatting changes. First, let's change the font of the headers and the body of the tables. Click on the header row and choose Courier New from the font drop-down box. Figure 9. 71A. Next, change the color of the font. Since the headers are still selected after the font change, go to the action bar and click on the text color command. Select dark orange, last option in the third column from the left, as the text color. You can then change the background color to a lighter blue using the fill color command on the action bar. Figure 9. 71B. In this case, changing the color of the background or the color of the font can make the column headers stand out more and is more visually appealing. A. Row 2 selected and font opens to recent fonts. Courier New selected. B. Fill color is selected and opens to options for custom, another custom, and rows of color option selections. Figure 9. 71 in Sheets, you can format headers by A. Changing the font, changing the color of the font, and B. Changing the cell background color just as in Excel. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Borders. The Borders command lets users modify the borders on each cell. Using the same table, let's change the thickness of the borders around the headers to differentiate them from the body. You will also add an outside border for the body of the table. First, select the headers and click on the Borders command on the action bar, then click on the Border Style drop-down menu and select the third thickest, figure 9. 72A. To apply the thicker border, click on the command for all borders, figure 9. 72B. A. Borders is selected and opens to options available for location, color, line, thickness. Selected opens to thickness options, thick line is selected. B. All borders is selected from the borders options. Figure 9. 72 You can change the borders from the action bar. Click on the Borders command and choose Border Style. A. There are several border styles to choose from in the list. B. After choosing the style, apply it to all borders. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. For the border around the table body, repeat the same first step, selecting the third thickest. Then, instead of applying it to all borders, choose the Outer Borders option, figure 9. 73. Borders opens to outer borders selected. Spreadsheets displays thick black border around the outside and around row 2. No borders in case the individual cells in rows 311. Figure 9. 73 The header borders are formatted, and the same styling can be used to add a border to the outside of the table. Click on the Borders command, choose the border style, and then apply it to the outer borders. The final table looks neat and professional with borders. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Wrapping text. You may have noticed that because you changed the font, the header in column C does not fit the width of the column. This is easily fixed by using the text wrapping command on the action bar. First, select cell C2, then click the text wrapping command and select the middle command for wrap, figure 9. 74A. Now all of the text is visible, as seen in figure 9. 74B. If the text is still a little tight, widen the column slightly by hovering over the edge of the column until the cursor changes to a double arrow, then drag the edge of the column to the right to accommodate the text. A. Text in cell C2 is cut off, lacking space. Text wrapping opens to options for wrap selected. B. The words item description in cell C2 show completely on 2 lines. Figure 9. 74 When the text does not fit in a cell, one option is to wrap the text. A. Select the cell and use the wrap command. B. The text should automatically fit in the cell. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Merging cells. As with Excel, Sheets allows cell merging. This enables information to be grouped to make it more readable for the user. For example, the Merge Cells command could group sales agents by region. To use this function, first select the cells you would like to merge. Then use the Merge Cells tool in the action bar as shown in figure 9. 75. You have several options with the tool. Merge all, merge vertically, working with rows, merge horizontally, working with columns, and unmerge. A blank spreadsheet shows cells A1 and B1 selected and the merge icon selected on the toolbar. The drop-down menu shows the options: merge all, merge vertically, merge horizontally, and unmerge. Figure 9. 75 The Merge Cells tool is found on the action bar. First, select the cells to be merged, then select the Merge Cells tool. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Designing column and row headers. You have learned how to change the font color, background color, and width for header styling. Header text can be bolded and centered to make them easier to read, and background colors can be applied and changed. Figure 9. 76 shows the formatting applied to cell B2 in the header. The font is bold and the text is centered. A. Row 2 is selected and bold selected. B. Data in row 2 is bolded, row 2 is still selected. Alignment icon is selected and center is applied to row 2. Figure 9. 76 Most professionally designed tables. A. Use bold font on the headers and B. Are center aligned. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Freezing columns and rows. Freezing columns and rows is useful when the data in your sheet does not fit the available viewing space. In Sheets, you can freeze panes anywhere in the worksheet, but it's certainly most useful to freeze column and row headers. First, select the row that you want to freeze, then select Freeze from the View menu and choose up to current row. Sheets freezes that row and all rows above it, as shown in Figure 9.77. Freeze is selected. Options available: no rows, 1 row, 2 rows, up to row 2, no columns, 1 column, 2 columns, up to column A. Spreadsheet displays row 7 below row 1. Figure 9.77. You can freeze panes anywhere on a sheet. Click on the row that you want to freeze and freeze up to that row. That row freezes and you can scroll through the data below it. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Hiding columns and rows. Sheets also supports hiding columns and rows. Select the row or column you want to hide. Right-click and then click on Hide Row or Hide Column. Figure 9.78a. To unhide it, select the two on either side of the hidden row or column. Right-click and click on Unhide Rows or Unhide Columns. Figure 9.78b. Or click on one of the two small arrows in the header. A. Hide column available on Open Pane. B. Unhide column available on Open Pane. Two black arrows visible in header on right side of column A and left side of next column. Figure 9.78. Hiding and unhiding columns in Sheets is similar to the process in Excel. A. Select the column you want to hide, right-click and click on Hide Column. B. To unhide, select the columns on either side of the hidden column, right-click and click on Unhide Columns. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Conditional formatting. Conditional formatting allows us to apply preset formatting to data that meets certain criteria. You can find the conditional formatting feature in Sheets on the Format menu, Figure 9.79. First, select the cells to format, and then choose the conditional formatting feature. A sidebar opens where you can set up the conditional formatting. In this example, the conditions are set so that Sheets will highlight in the default color any cells in the range G2, G11 that have values greater than 999. The table updates instantly. Figure 9.80. Cell G6 selected. Format tab selected and drop-down lists theme, number, text, alignment, wrapping, rotation, font size, merge cells, conditional formatting, alternating colors, and clear formatting. Arrow points to conditional formatting. Figure 9.79. In Sheets, you can set up conditional formatting as in Excel. Conditional formatting is in the Format menu. The sidebar opens up to set the criteria. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Single color tab selected in conditional format pane. Format rules for greater than 999 and default formatting style are selected. In column G of Spreadsheet, items over 999 are highlighted. Figure 9.80. When the criteria are set, the table instantly updates. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Working with templates. Sheets offers many templates on the welcome screen. Figure 9.81. If you do not find what you are looking for in this screen, you can search for other online templates, but you have to use certain criteria. You need to use the Google search engine and type X template site, https://docs.google.com. For example, if you are looking for business budget reports, you would type business budget report template site, https://docs.google.com. Searching in this manner will give you results from other Google Docs users' Google Drive accounts, meaning that they are sharing their templates with other users and they are available for use and not protected or restricted. This also means that the templates have been formatted for Sheets and not for Excel. In some cases, importing Excel files into Sheets can alter the formatting. When you find the one you want to use, click on it, and a little ball will appear in the middle while you wait for the document to open. You can then edit the document that was generated using the template to customize it for your needs. Figure 9.82. Templates on the welcome screen are shown. 8 different options are available with a work heading. Figure 9.81. Sheets templates are available on the welcome screen. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Monthly budget spreadsheet template displays header and sample charts and information boxes for customization. Figure 9, 82 sheet templates are also available online from other users. Google Sheets is a trademark of Google LLC. Link to learning. It is not always easy to present data in an appealing and interesting way. Following a few simple steps and best practices in formatting sheets can ensure you are able to get your message across while also engaging your audience. Check out these best practices for presenting data to learn more.